Hello, hi, Puneeta here. I thought I would jump on live very quickly here and talk about rice. Now, if you've been following my pantry staple cooking quarantine diaries video series, then you know that I recently did a TV segment on CHCH Morning Live where we were talking about rice. In fact, I shared the perfect recipe for steamed rice on there, and I also shared 3 of my favorite ways to use cooked rice, right? It's such a great pantry staple. I always have at least a few varieties on in my pantry, and then it's budget friendly, heart healthy, and it's pretty great, right? I can whip up a little bit of rice and I have a few meals during the week. So after that segment, which aired last week, after that segment there was a whole bunch of questions. People asked me questions about making rice and about my technique that I shared on Morning Live with Annette. And then I also got a whole bunch of questions about what kind of rice to use. So I thought I would write them all down. I have my notebook here, and I thought I would tackle them one by one. Okay, so this is how to rice it up every week. How rice will rescue your dinners every week. Questions answered. So if you have questions about rice, ask me now, and I will also share this video on Facebook, of course, because it's on Facebook right now, and I will also share it on IGTV later on. So if you have any questions, you can go back and refer to this. Okay, question number 1. What was that recipe all about? So I shared my perfect steamed rice recipe. So it was 2 cups of rice, 2 cups of water, boil it in a pan like this. This was actually the pan that was, this was actually the pan that was on TV that day, and then boil it for 5 minutes, and then turn it down to a low simmer, and then leave it be. Just ignore it for 10, maybe 11 minutes, and what you'll have at the end is perfect steamed rice. So the one question that I had a whole bunch of times from a number of people around the world, right? Because rice is important in Asian food, all kinds of Asian food, South Asian, East Asian, whatever kind of Asia you're from, rice is big for you. And rice, I wanted to say in this segment, should be big for everyone. It's such a great staple. So the first question I had a whole number of times was boiled versus steamed rice. So a lot of people have boiled rice, and so the difference in that is, so my technique was steamed rice, in which the water is all absorbed and soaked up into the rice, and so you use the quantity of water that fits your pan and the quantity of rice that you're using, and it absorbs it all, and you're left with fluffy rice at the end. But boiled rice, in contrast, that a lot of people use because it is faster to do it that way, and you don't have to measure anything. You basically take your rice and a whole bunch of water, boil it until you find the rice has reached the right kind of eating texture and is not too mushy. You pour the water out and you use just the rice. The only downside of having boiled rice is that any of the nutritional value that you have in your rice, I mean, rice has a whole bunch of nutritional value. It's great for you, it's carbohydrates, great quick fuel, and a whole bunch of reasons why you want rice in your life. But if you boil it and you throw the water away, then what you end up with is a lot of the nutritional value has actually seeped away into the water, and you're pouring it out. So steamed rice is a healthier way to cook rice. So that was my recipe, and I'm sharing this here. You'll see it at the end of this video, but my recipe for perfect steamed rice is right there. So that was question number 1, boiled versus steamed. A few people asked me that question. The next question I got was, do I need a rice cooker for this? So if you have a rice cooker, great, good for you. I don't have a rice cooker, and I have an aversion to buying new appliances, right? It needs to meet a whole bunch of criteria before I buy it. I have limited space in my kitchen and I don't want to spend money, right? I'm one of those people. I'd like to use my money for the things that I absolutely love. And rice cooker, if I can find another way to make rice, then I don't need a rice cooker, right? So no, you don't need a rice cooker to make rice. What you do need is a pan, and that takes me into the next question. So I shared this pan on Morning Live that day, and it was really popular. A few people asked me where I got the pan from, including Marge from on Facebook asked me this question. So this particular pan is special in that the lid is, it's the perfect size. That's why it sees a lot of use in my house. But the lid is tight fitting, and the lid also has these holes. So originally this pan is a tea pan that I found from a Chinese store. I think it was TNT out in Calgary. So it's really convenient that I can pour the water out if I'm boiling pasta or if I'm making green tea, and there is a built-in sieve. But I love it for rice because the lid is really tight. So really any pan that is a comfortable size, because remember the rice will increase in volume to almost double its size. So you want a pan that will accommodate that much of rice that you're cooking and the water. And so any pan, so my other backup pan is this non-stick pan. It has a tight lid, it has a little bit, it's a small hole so you can see the steam escape as you go along. But any pan with a tight fitting lid will work for this. So don't stress about, oh, do I have the right equipment? You have the right equipment. I bet you do. Make rice. Okay, the next question I had was, is it unhealthy, rice? Well, here's the thing. Rice is high, so I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. But what I am is a very common sense mom. So eating rice all the time, 3 times a day, is definitely not nutritious. It's, it's a lot of carbohydrates. It's pretty high on the glycemic index, I want to say, or low, whatever. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't eat rice every day. But it is great to accommodate preferences when you have picky eaters in the house, and when you want to have an alternative to wheat, because I find we eat between the flatbreads and flour and all the baking that we're doing nowadays. Eating wheat all the time is also not healthy. So wheat and rice is a great way to alternate, because you do need to get a variety in your diet, because having the same type of grain every day is definitely not good for you. So I brought in, and this takes me into the next question about brown rice. A few people asked me about brown rice and whether it was healthier. So it is healthier, yes. And this is what it looks like. So here's first the white rice, of course. You've seen this. Well, if you haven't seen it, then watch my segment. I almost dropped my pan of rice. So, right? This is brown rice. So what brown rice is the outer layers still attached. So I'm trying to find the camera here. And so it's got more fiber, it's got more nutritional value, but also it takes about double the length of time to cook. So, and it also tastes a little bit more grainy and nutty. If you can alternate brown rice with white, good on you, go for it. Brown rice doesn't work as well with some of the filler recipes, and I'll address that in a second. But yeah, brown rice is healthier, but sometimes we just want most times, I just want my kids to eat, and they eat white rice more happily with less complaining. So white rice is on the menu for a whole bunch of days, I gotta say that. And it's also, let me end with that, white rice is a refined whole grain. So it has been processed in that the outer layer is removed, but it is still a lot of nutrition and a lot of fuel that is going into your body. So totally eat whatever rice you can, right? So brown rice, how long does it take to cook? So that was also asked a couple of times. Brown rice takes about 40 minutes. Use the same technique. I would use the same technique. I do use the same technique, but I add salt and a squeeze of oil to it just to enhance the flavor a little bit. The same length of time, the same amount of water, but then hello, I see a few people who are watching on Facebook, so yay, whoever is active on Facebook. Hi Caroline, hi Keithy, nice to see you guys. So brown rice takes, white rice takes about just under 20 minutes to cook. Brown rice will take about 40 minutes to cook. So there's that. Can I use rice as a filler? That was another question. So I've got my questions written down right here. And if you're joining in now, then I'm answering questions about rice. There were a whole bunch of questions during my TV segment last week. And so I thought I will tackle all those questions at a separate time, which is today, right? So can I use rice as a filler? So a lot of my conversation with Annette Hum on CHCH Morning Life, hi Annette, if you're watching, a lot of my conversation was what we can do with the rice. Once you've made that perfect bowl of steamed rice, now what, right? Well, of course, you can use it as a side with curry. You can add it to your soups, blend it up. It makes for such a hearty meal. You can have it on the side with stir fry. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can have it on the side of. But what I also do is I save some leftover rice and I make fritters out of it, which is kind of, Italians also have this version of arancinis where you use cooked rice. Cooked old risotto rice is used for arancinis. Well, in India we use cooked leftover rice for pakoras, and I use it for fritters, where you mash the rice up with leftover veggies, add some seasoning, shape it into patties, and you can bake it or you can fry it with just a little bit of oil. They're delicious. So yes, you can use it as a filler. I don't like the word filler as much because it implies that whatever you're filling with is secondary to whatever there is. That's not the case. I mean, rice on its own is amazing, and it can help you stretch your other food items, especially nowadays, right? We are limiting our grocery visits. I'm going once a week, and so we have to make our staples, what's in our fridge and our pantry, stretch. And so rice helps with that totally. I mean, there's a bunch of other ways I make patties and sliders, and I add oats and other grains, but cooked rice works wonderfully. Okay, and then the last question, which again I had from a few people, was what kind of pan can I use and where can I buy this one? So I touched upon the pan a few minutes ago. You can use any kind of pan, and this particular pan, I haven't seen it in regular stores. I have seen it in a bunch of Asian stores, so I'm showing it again. But it's a pan with a tight fitting lid and holes on the side, which are perfect for any number of dishes. And look for it in Asian supermarkets and you'll likely find it. It's kind of a green tea pan that gets used a lot. Well, that's it. That was about 7 questions I had. Thank you for asking your questions. That makes what I share so much it makes me feel good that it's actually helping you, and you had questions and you made it, and then you asked me those questions, so that's great. So keep the questions coming, and I will do follow-up. I'm doing videos now every week. Tuesday and Thursday you'll see videos from me on what to cook, how to cook, cooking inspiration. And Fridays I will handle questions, so I'll do a Facebook Live every Friday. So if you have questions about, I don't know, turmeric off the top of my head, ask away, and I will answer all the questions that come during the week. I will tackle them on Fridays.